Now let's use the rectangular marquee tool to do something just a little more difficult. This dollar bill isn't a nice rectangle that we can just choose, but we can still use the rectangular marquee tool to help us make the selection. So I will grab that tool and I am just going to start a selection here. And of course we're limited to a rectangle, but if you'll come inside of the selection you've just made and do a right mouse button click or control click on a Macintosh, you have the opportunity to transform the selection. Very similar to the free transform that we learned about last week. So with this, we can transform that selection by holding down our command key, and then we can take any corner. That would be the control key on your PC. So I'm holding down the command or the control key, and I'm just dragging that corner and that corner and that corner and that corner until I have an almost perfect selection, and then I'll hit the check mark. Now I can take a look at it and press the Q key on my keyboard to go into quick mask mode and see how I did. Looks like I've got that feathered a little bit, and that's a common thing to forget about. So we will press the Q key again, go Command or Control D to drop the selection, and we'll make sure that that feather is at 0. All right, let's try this again. So you just start your selection, make an approximation, go into the center, right mouse button click and say transform the selection, hold your command key or control key down, and then pull those corners exactly to the points where you want them to be, and then hit the check mark up there. You can press the Q key to go into quick mask mode and see where any adjustments need to be made. And you can see that this dollar bill just kind of flows out of that rectangle here and then inside over here. So let me show you how to deal with that. Press Q again to get out of quick mask mode. I'm going to go into the center, right mouse button click, and say I'd like to transform the selection again. But this time I can come in and do a right mouse button click one more time and say I would like to warp that selection. And warp allows us to do some pretty interesting things. We can grab any place inside there and just kind of warp that shape around. And up there I'm going to pull in, and up there I'm going to pull up, and so we can just play with those marching ants until we have something pretty close. Now it's not ever going to be absolutely perfect, but we can get even closer. And again, I'll hit the check mark here, press the quick mask key, and we can see where we may have some problems. So this is where quick mask mode actually gets helpful. We can grab our paintbrush at this point and make sure that we've got a fairly hard brush, and then I'll drop this down and we can come in and carefully paint there. Now of course you can hit the X key and switch to white paint, And then I'm going to put my brush right there and click once. I'm going to hold my shift key down, and that will force it to go in a straight line. Flip back over to black paint so I'm on the inside now. Flip back over to white paint, and then I can adjust that like so. I'll press the Q key to get out of that mode. Now what I need to do to save that selection is to go into the select menu and say save the selection, and we'll just call it money as a new channel and click OK. You can then test that out by going into the channels panel, and you should have a selection there, an alpha channel named money. All right, so now that that is saved, I can drop that selection, and I can either come into the select menu and say I'd like to load that selection again and click OK, and there it is. Or I can come into the channels panel and hold my command or control key and click on that alpha channel icon and also have my selection. So there's using the rectangular marquee as a beginning point to refine your selection.